Nah, just kidding. Everything's been, fingers crossed, everything's been working pretty good ever since I put the next new power supply in there. So hopefully nothing changes anytime soon, but never mind that. We're not really here to discuss my misadventures when it comes to upgrading a PC. That was fun, let me tell you. But anyway, today, it's time for another Fan Showdown. Season 4, Episode 5. And you might notice there's more than 4 fans here. We got gears. Thank you to Micro Center for sponsoring today's video. Micro Center is one of the best places to shop for all your technology needs, and if you're like me, you might even live within driving distance to a Micro Center location. Having a Micro Center nearby has saved my bacon more than once, most notably that one time I fried my GPU while trying to build that custom shroud. Remember that? Yeah. Now, Micro Center is probably most well known for its PC hardware, but they also carry 3D printers. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know this until the last time I was walking through Micro Center looking for some PC cooling hardware and happened to notice all the filament and printers they had in stock. Micro Center is actually one of the only places you can find a wide selection of 3D printers and materials, but not everyone is easily able to drive to a Micro Center location, but that's not a problem. You can browse all of their parts online at microcenter.com, and if you prefer, you can even shop the Micro Center Amazon store to pick up all the filament you need. However, if you do have a Micro Center nearby, they are currently offering a $99 coupon towards an Ender 3D Pro. This is a no purchase necessary offer to new customers, in-store only. So if you're wanting to get into 3D printing, check out microcenter.com or head into one of your local stores today. And thank you again to Micro Center for sponsoring today's video. I hope you guys can see me with my... Every time I wear this, I make a stupid camouflage joke. Anyway, we're going to start with Tom today and Tom's fan, CyberEye. Tom said he made this fan a while back and decided, you know what, it's time to send it into the Fan Showdown. The CyberEye was inspired by Tom's favorite anime, which I will admit I really know nothing about. But when I saw this thing for the first time, I immediately thought GE9X, which is a massive high bypass turbofan jet engine made by GE Aviation. And if you have no idea what that means, it's the big chonky boy you see underneath the Boeing 777, specifically the Dash 8 and the Dash 9. Now, Tom said he doesn't have any specific performance expectations in mind with this thing. He just thought it looked cool, which I concur, it does. It looks like a jet engine, and anytime anything looks like a jet engine, it's +5 charisma guaranteed. Next up, we have Flow and their fan, Second to None. Ooh, shots fired with that name. However, though, when I read the name, so when people send me these fans, they send me the files, and the fan's called Second to None, but when I read the file name, it was actually Second to None 3rd edition, so what's that mean? Anyways, Flow said that the idea behind this fan was to put all that centrifugal force that the air experiences while passing through the fan to work. The fan was designed in a way to reduce as much turbulence as possible and also noise. And the way that Flow went about doing this was to try and smooth every edge and slope on the fan to make everything as smooth as possible. The end result, in my opinion, is a fan that looks, to me, like it's gonna be a good performer. We've said it before, you can kinda, for all of us that have done this show or watched this show many times, you can pretty much look at a fan at this point and be like, I think that'll be pretty good. And I think this is one of those. We'll have to keep our eye out on the smoke test to see exactly how it performs, but I like it. Now, from smooth edges and slopes to a fan that looks like the actual word pain, this is the Emotional Damage, and it was created by Sam. I don't know about you, but when I first looked at this fan, the first word that came to mind was ouch, just imagining my fingers finding their way into the fan as I was testing it. But it does look cool too. Now, Sam didn't say much about this fan or what inspired it. All he did was he sent a link along with it. That was a link to a meme, the Emotional Damage meme.
Emotional damage!
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know much about that meme. I might be just getting rickrolled. I don't know. If you can see the symbolism between Emotional Damage name and this design, make sure to let me know in the comments because I'm pretty lost on this one. Now, I have saved the most complex fan for last. This series of parts in front of me is the overdrive. All this stuff. One fan. 2 configurations. The overdrive was created by Nate, and the overdrive has one singular goal in mind, and that is to finally dethrone the cheater. And if you're new here and you're like, what is the cheater? The cheater is a fan that's been in first place since last season, and at this point, it almost looks unbeatable. No longer are we trying to beat the A12X25. That ship sailed like eons ago. Now we're just trying to beat the final boss, which is the cheater. Now, before we get into the overdrive and its two configurations, which, yeah, that was correct. It has two different configurations that it can be set up in. We need to talk about the impressive assembly instructions that were sent with it. I shit you not, I've seen less details on engineering drawings at work. Now, given how well written the assembly instructions were, I'm pretty confident that this fan should work, at least function as designed. But will it beat the cheater? I don't know. It's a pretty good score to take down. Now, as I said, the overdrive has two configurations. One is called direct drive and one is called overdrive. The direct drive is pretty much what it sounds like. The fan hub, the hub of the A12X95, directly drives the fan disc. Now, the overdrive mode is a bit more interesting. In that mode, the hub of the A12X95, what was that? The hub of the A12X95 actually drives two planetary gears, which then in turn drive the main fan. And the idea here is we're trying to increase the RPM of the main fan to, increase airflow. Now, Nate did go on to say that he tested this configuration. He tested the direct drive and the overdrive and said that the overdrive was slower in RPM to the A12X25, given the limitations of the fan itself. Not really the torquiest fan motor in the world. I don't think Noctua ever thought that this was going to be its future.
No, we did not.
But he did say that he tested it, so that must mean that it works. So before we pick which configuration is the best, gives this fan the best chance to beat the massive cheater, we first got to put it together and see if it works, or see how it works at this point. All right, here are all of our parts for the overdrive fan, and Nate went into great detail on every piece that I needed to print and what percentage infill he wanted them all printed in, which I did. I made sure to follow his directions to the T. And also you might notice that there's a bearing here. That's because I needed to purchase some bearings for this assembly. Now, I already have them put into the fan blades because they did need a little bit of prep before they're ready to use per Nate's instruction. The original bearings do have like a shield on them. They're shielded bearings and they're already full of some grease. And what I needed to do first was remove the shield, which was a little tricky because these little tiny bearings have a retaining ring that must be reinstalled or the ball bearings just kind of escape and go wherever they want. So I removed the shield and then I sprayed all the old grease or all the packed grease out with some brake cleaner and replaced it with some of my favorite little gun oils. And you might be wondering, why would you remove the grease from a bearing? And the whole idea here is that the grease that comes with these bearings is its viscosity is really high, so it's actually harder for the bearing to spin with that thick grease in there. And since the fan already has a rough time spinning pretty much anything other than a fan disc, if you take all that grease out and replace it with thinner grease, it works better in this situation. So for the assembly, now we'll do the overdrive mode first just to see if it works as advertised. So this is obviously the back side of the fan, much the same as the cheater. So the fan is going to mount in it like that. This is the planetary gear mount, which has the bearings already inserted into it. And I will say that the fitment on these bearings, top notch. I really like it. These are the two planetary gears that will insert into the bearings. Again, you can tell that Nate did his homework. Everything fits together beautifully. The next thing that we have, so this is one of the things that Nate hopes improves the airflow. This is the outer ring that the planetary gears are going to drive against. And you might remember from previous designs, this was much larger. And Nate is hoping that since he's shrunk this down, we're going to have more area or more space for the air to flow past the planetary gears. So they maybe, that's hopefully going to produce more airflow, because in the past you had giant gears on the outside, which are essentially blocking your airflow. This part is going to hold our drive gear, which is going to go in between these two planetary gears like this. It's going to go through this bearing. I believe it goes, let me look at the little directions here. I think, yeah, it goes like this. So the gear needs to go in like so. And this is where we got to be careful. So we have to be able to position it between the gears perfectly, because if not, as it spins, it's going to want to move the fan around. So we need to try to make sure we're centered as possible. So you have to move it around a little bit to see how it functions. You see how the fan kind of moves around that? We need to adjust it a little bit. A little bit of oil on these gears just because they kind of touch each other and up top. So I'm just going to hold this in position for now to see exactly how well that spins when it's being powered. Okay, here we go. Ooh, ooh. It's working. I wonder what the RPM of just that shaft is, because we know the RPM of the A12X25 is 2,000. So let's see. Obviously, when we put the fan disc on there, the load is going to slow it down. But let's see if that little shaft spins more than 2,000. 2126. So it is over 2,000 RPMs, but we all know that as soon as I put that fan on there, that's going to drop substantially. So we'll see how she goes. So now the fan keys onto this shaft, which again, so satisfying. Everything fits together, no slop, pretty impressive. And there you go. There's your final piece. Come on, baby. She's going. You can definitely hear that it's slower though. We'll measure the RPM here in a second. Before we do that, I'll show you how the direct drive mode goes, because I'm pretty sure that's what we'll be using for this fan. So direct drive mode has similar hub, but the fan mount is right there. We skip this whole deal and it just is fan and intake shroud. Oh yeah, and a lot quieter. Okay, so we're in direct drive mode. You can see our target is right there on the hub. Let's see what kind of speeds we're putting down. 17, we could say probably about 1,730 RPM. Come on, baby. There it goes. Oh, give it a little help. There it is. A little louder, a little slower. We'll say 670 RPM. So given that the direct drive mode produces more RPM than the overdrive mode, we'll run the tests. We'll put it up against the cheater in direct drive mode to give it the best chance of moving the most air possible. The overdrive in direct drive mode came in at 49.6 dBA. The Cyber Eye came in at 47.6 dBA. The Emotional Damage came in at 51.2 dBA. And the Second to None came in at 49.5 dBA. So far, they're all pretty similar. They're not the quietest fans we've ever seen on the show. They're not the most loud fan we've ever heard in the show, but they're all kind of right in there. But let's see exactly how they stack up in the smoke test. Let's see exactly how they all stacked up. The Cyber Eye came in at 531 feet per minute. The Emotional Damage came in at 490 feet per minute. The Second to None came in at 624 feet per minute. And the Overdrive in overdrive mode came in at 330 feet per minute. And in direct drive mode came in at 626 feet per minute. Placing the Overdrive in direct drive mode in first place, the Second to None in second place, the Cyber Eye in third place, and the Emotional Damage in fourth. Overall, though, we do have a bit of a shakeup on the board. The Overdrive placed fourth place overall. The Second to None placed sixth. The Cyber Eye is in 11th, and the Emotional Damage is in 15th. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed another one of our Fan Showdown videos. If you want to get involved in the Fan Showdown, head down to the description below. There'll be links to everything you need to know in order to produce a fan to be on the show. In a nutshell, what you need to do is go to my Thingiverse account, pull down the drawings for the specific dimensions you need to hit to make sure it fits on the A12X25 frame. And then once your model's complete, send me at least an STL file to the fanshowdown@gmail.com. We'll see you next time. How'd you like the floating head talking to you the whole time? See ya!